What's this? Hey, what's up, you wrestling fanatics and fans? It's Mike and Jamie here. Going to talk a little Michigan wrap up and then Penn State, Ohio State preview. Jamie, what's going on?
Just getting ready for prep states next week.
How's that looking? How's that tournament stacking up? It's always really tough, especially at the top end.
Numbers are up. We're actually at 185 wrestlers, which is the highest number in, let me see, how many years, if not ever. It might be the highest ever.
Is that because more kids are going to private school right now?
I don't know. It's the highest number we've had since in the last 10 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's saying something.
Yeah.
All right, what teams are going to be coming in at one, two, and three, if you had to project?
Uh, Malvern and Sem are definitely going to be vying to win it. Third, hard to say. Let me just look at one thing. Hill and GA might have a good battle for third and fourth.
Gotcha. And who's hosting it and where can people watch it?
We're at ANC, Academy of the New Church, and it will be live streamed all mats on Flow.
You know, probably, I mean, for the last several years, all those final matches are previewing some really good guys who are going to be competing at the next level, right?
Oh, for sure. I was talking to one of my seniors who wrestled as an eighth grader and was looking back at some of his brackets. His eighth grade year, it was Lilidal one, Consiglio two, and Ba three. All three are wrestling D1. Two of them are still at 125, and this was at 126 in high school. And Consigliero's up at 41 or 49. But
Yeah, I think he's at 41 for Stanford. He
yeah,
had, I still talk to him because, whatever, I used to be in the room with him. At one point, I can't remember what duel it was. He went in for a shot and he smacked his face on somebody's top of their head. I don't know if it was a Virginia Tech match, and it split the side of his, like the deepest part of your lip, almost an inch. He sent me a photo. I almost threw up. Heidi was like, "Oh my God, how is he going to come back from that?" I was like, "Don't worry, girls like that." Jack, it's gonna be, dude, it's gonna be all right, man. Like, and he was back wrestling a week later, but holy cow, one of the worst cuts I've ever seen at the in like a non, punching or striking sport.
wow. But
Anyway,
yeah, no, there's some top end talent. Just watching Big Ten Friday night, you had Buzakis, uh, Botero was
right.
in the private schools
Yep.
early before he went to Faith Christian. I'm drawing a blank, but there was a handful of kids all
Yeah.
throughout those. Feldman
Yep.
wrestled, beat Keeter. Malvern and Sam have put a lot of kids in the D1 teams.
A1 age, age level. I mean, especially
Yeah,
some age level champs. So at the world
Desmond
level,
Desmond wrestled the other night.
yeah,
Big win.
dude, we'll get to
Van
that.
Ness was at Blair.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, there's a lot of big names that have come through this tournament.
You, here's a question for you while we're talking about just Feldman. I don't know. Did you watch any of the Iowa Ohio State match?
When he beat Keeter, yeah, I
Yeah.
watched most of that.
I mean, I have some friends. I'm friends with an All-American who was maybe 15 years ago, Iowa. Another guy was old friend of mine was TJ Williams' workout partner, which like that was yeoman's work according to him.
Oh,
Right? He was the only one. It was like the kid I coached. Williams was meaner than Kyle Dake. I coached his workout partner, whose only reason he was on varsity at Cornell was no one wanted to wrestle Dake every day. But the point is, all of a sudden, there's this whisper campaign that they're going to get Brett Metcalf from Iowa State.
oh,
I this was like I was in a text string yesterday with two different groups. They don't know each other, older guys, younger guys. Metcalf left Virginia Tech and compromised a year of eligibility to
for Brands.
follow Brands back to Iowa. Like I don't see him taking Brands' job. Like I think he loves that guy.
I agree. If Brands is on board with it, then he would, I think. I think of the Iowa, we talked about this last time. I think of the Iowa State guys who are all from Iowa, uh, I think he's the most likely.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we've talked about this on film, but there's, I think, let's see, Utah Valley, Northern Colorado, a school that I won't say. I think there's been three jobs that opened in the last year that guys from Iowa have applied for and haven't even gotten interviews for. Pretty crazy. Like there's a soft ban on these guys right now.
Oh,
Unless, yeah, it's really right. One of the guys thought he was a shoo-in for a job. And I know him through this guy who was an All-American, and didn't get an interview, and he was already on staff.
well, hasn't Ramos applied for a lot of the jobs that were open last year?
I don't think right? I thought he was interested in the Oklahoma State. No. What job did he interview for?
Was he interviewing for Binghamton and some in Army and some of those?
Oh, maybe I haven't heard that. I thought that he had a good relationship over there with Cole.
I think
Um,
he does, but I think he also is either going through the process or is actually interested in getting the head job because I think he interviewed for the head before they got Cole.
they did. I think you're right. All right, he may be the outlier at this point, and
Okay.
Metcalf, right? And I don't want to name names. I don't want to embarrass guys, but like this is it. I've heard it enough times from different people who are big Iowa fans, and they're stunned. And I'm like, well, if your team was ranked 60th and you're the head assistant, I'm not sure that you're thought of as a turnaround person. Like I don't, and it's kind of weird. They're slowly coming around. Right this year, Iowa, I don't know how many losses they have, but we're in uncharted territory. We have to go back to pre-Gable at this point. What, six dual losses?
Oh yeah, it's unreal.
And they didn't look particularly good versus Ohio State. I mean, they came out and um, you know, Ohio State didn't have Cannon in there, and I've heard mixed things. I've heard he's going to be out until March, and then I've heard he'll be back for Penn State. But to me, if I'm Brands, I'm thinking I want that guy at NCAAs and Big Tens. I don't want him at the duel, especially if it's threatening. Who else? Caliendo won, Kennedy won, and that was it. So they won three matches versus Ohio State. Penn State what took 9 out of 10.
Yes.
And I don't know. I don't know if you saw
But
the
in
Arnold
fairness,
Fishback.
Iowa in theory had backups at a couple of those weights.
They did. In total fairness, they sure did. Um, you know, Peterson. I guess that's still a battle though at 141, supposedly, right?
Well, Brands went out and said it, but it's like, really? You say it's a roster battle and you throw him against the number one guy in the country?
It's not a great measuring stick versus Mendez.
No.
Um, well, that said, Ohio State looked pretty darn good. I don't know. The Arnold match with the Fishback, there was a controversial call there, and Fishback wins, but um, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. I was fine with the call for the take. Was a takedown, right? The Arnold didn't get.
I didn't catch it live. I obviously saw all the replays and that stuff. I mean, they're just not consistent with what is reaction time and what's
Yeah,
not. That's the
totally.
problem.
It's
Uh,
so true. Be consistent with reaction time. Hey, and I mean,
well, the
enough coaches.
definition doesn't help because it literally says on the referee's judgment.
Right,
That's
right.
the definition of reaction time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure the coaches, if they were upset, would pressure it more. It's like stalling. It seems like coaches don't want stalling to be called, so they never make it an emphasis. So they put all these other rules in that, then get gamed. And it's just, if you can't, I can recognize stalling 90% of the time, Jamie,
Right.
right?
Regular stalling.
Regular stalling. It's like what the Supreme Court said, 20 years ago. We can't define pornography, but we sure know it when we see it.
Yeah.
I can sure recognize stalling. Oh man. All right. Well, that's anything else about Iowa and Ohio State?
Uh,
You know,
and you had mentioned that they only won three. I
Feldman beat
assume
Peter.
it was Ohio State's decision to not start at 125.
Got to assume that, right?
Yep. Uh, got to assume Penn State is not going to want to do random. They're going to want Buzakis right off the scale.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, and the one thing we know is that when you cut weight, even if you do it well, right? You've said it. Buzakis hasn't wrestled 25 since what, 2022, maybe?
22 or 23. Yeah.
Yeah.
Long
E-
time.
Even if you're doing it correctly, it affects your gas tank. And one thing we know is Luke Littledahl has a gas tank,
Yeah.
right? So you're not going to want that. But otherwise, I mean, Davino looked good beating Drake. Although here, I mean, this will be the theme for my entire preview, right? Other than Jesse Mendez, you don't see Ohio State looking for bonus on the high level guys, right? Davino 4-2, Buzakis, well, it was 9-5, but um, it's kind of close there. Feldman, all right, that's a tough match with Keeter wins 3-2. Uh, but the Penn State guys, they're going to put it on you. So that'll be one of my keys to the match at some point. But this is the first three matches, the first three matches in that Ohio State Penn State duel are going to be just crazy if they start at 25.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we know will be Penn State's choice, if, or it'll be their preference. I don't know exactly how the rule works. If the home team,
Yeah.
does it just automatically the home team says we're doing random versus 25, or I don't know exactly what the rule is.
Yeah. Maybe someone can tell us. All right. So Ohio State's looking really good. They come in, beat up Iowa. So this is really looking like a super match here. Let me just throw out a couple things about the history of the match. So right, it's Friday the 13th, 7 p.m. Big Ten Network. The first meeting was 1956. Current series record, Penn State is up 27-12. Penn State's on a 10 dual win streak. Average score during that streak, Penn State 26.7 points, Ohio State 11.9 points, average margin of victory 14.8. And the only match that we saw last year that could happen here is Levi versus Carson Karchla. Thoughts?
That's the only rematch. That's
That's
crazy.
Isn't that crazy? That's how much, whatever you want to call it, the teams are changing. I mean, Penn State is so young, which makes it even crazier to say it could be one of the best teams in history and how young they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Lilladall is the same but different uh, guy for them. 33 are both freshmen. 41, Davis is up.
Yep.
Van Ness, Styles is new. 57, PJ's new. 65. Mitchell probably wrestled Patty last year.
And I think he was out of the lineup last year. I could be wrong. I'll pull up
It
Russell
looks like he
stats.
injury defaulted after 1 second.
Oh, during last year's duel? Okay.
It might have been Big Tens.
Yeah, I think it was Big Tens. I don't think he wrestled in
Yeah.
the duel.
Yeah, Levi Hartzla, Rocco's new. Geog probably wasn't in the lineup last year, and Marisola's new. So yeah,
Yep.
that's crazy.
Crazy, right? And this is both these teams are coming in looking just studly. I mean, this is really, this is a powerhouse duel. So I'm really looking forward to it. And, it's one of those things where it looks tight, but I wouldn't be, I mean, if there's a team that's going to open it up, I'm getting, money's on Penn State, especially if Cannon's out of the lineup, right? Like,
Yeah, that hurts them a lot.
yeah. So everyone that's wrestle or projected to wrestle. I'm including Cannon here because he's number one, but everybody else is in the top 17 in the country, and we could see four matches that feature five guys going at it. And
And you're
that's
using Intermat for that.
all intermat. Yep. Yeah, I never use Flow for rankings for whatever reason. Willie tells me it's a bad. They don't do a good job. So whatever.
It is questionable on some of the things where they kind of overreact, it feels like.
Yeah, and whether they're trying to get eyeballs on people on their site or you, you just have to use more common sense when I mean, whatever they had. I mean, when they had the rankings earlier in the season, I was listening to Willie, and like I think they had Penn State at 3. Like that's just
Yes, because all the true freshmen didn't have enough points to
right.
allocate and they had removed Josh Barr. because he hadn't wrestled.
Right. And I look, I get it, but you have to have some common sense there. So, um, as we go forward, we'll kind of just recap anything for Michigan, then we'll go weight by weight with Ohio State. But, just a couple keys, I think, to the Ohio State duel, Jamie, would be, right, who gets the most takedowns? To me, that's who's going to wrestle more free, I think, during the match. That's Edge Penn State. Um, does riding time come into effect on any sudden victory matches? A couple of these top five guys, whether it's in regular time or in over the tiebreaker. And does anybody get caught wrestling too aggressive, out of position, and then can't come back from getting taken down by being over aggressive? Those are my three, I guess, my keys. Do you have any that you're looking for?
I think the takedowns is big. I mean, Lillidaw is if he stays in space and kind of sticks and moves, I think that's going to be a big one. Blaze Davino, that one's a toss up. I'm drawing a blank on if they've wrestled before.
Just World Team Trial.
That was it.
Yeah, that I saw at least, and Blaze won two out of three.
You would think like in Iron Man or something like
They
his,
must have, right? You would think
yeah.
so. I just
Uh,
didn't see film of it online.
yeah, I would just, I mean, I think like you had said, as far as the attack rate and some of that
Yeah.
stuff and strategy. 41 to be curious to see what they put out there, but Mendez is ginormous favor either way.
Yeah.
Uh, Cannon is a huge gap for them. I mean, Maddox Shaw is a very nice, real good, true freshman, but
Yeah.
I don't think he's gonna hold up
Exactly.
against BJ.
Did I tell you about one of our regular listeners sending me a screenshot about Penn State training through the Michigan match?
No, that was our assumption.
Well, no, ours was Nebraska. And
Oh,
one of the beat
yeah,
reporters for Penn, and I don't consume a ton of wrestling media, but he's like, oh no, you could see Penn State trained through and they were low energy in Michigan. I didn't see any of that. I mean, these
no,
guys were chasing, and we'll get through it there, but I mean, a couple guys got their tech falls or majors at the end of the third period. So I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it in the past, Penn State, whatever you want to call it, periodization, training through. But this was one of those funny things where I was like, if you thought Penn State looked low energy during Michigan, then what did you think during Nebraska?
right.
Yeah. So maybe they didn't train through Nebraska and the team was sick, but they didn't have as much energy as they did versus Michigan.
No, they definitely it looked more it looked Michigan looked more the norm as opposed to the Nebraska
Yeah.
one.
Couple of thoughts about the Michigan match. Penn State is going to the point where, like that finish that we talked about a couple weeks ago, where they're staying high on the thigh. You could see it in a couple matches. They're not even reaching around when the guy is down around the waist seatbelt. They're doing the reverse seatbelt, which when we were coaching or wrestling, like that made you susceptible to being, I would say, short headlocked, right? You're reaching around, your head's in front,
Right.
and if you are not in balance, you could get wailed on. So I will be curious to see if people catch up to that. The other thing we saw is that with that new finish on the high leg, people can't whizzer, so they're diving. And I don't know if it was Blaze, but there were a couple guys who were just waiting for that dive and looking cradle, right? And
And
that's
they kind of hold the leg loose so that it rotates in their armpit and then they can just pounce it. Like you said, the cradle's usually there.
it's like they're setting up a cradle or
Yeah.
looking for these back points. It's just kind of an interesting cat and mouse game. I think we've talked about it. Their technique appears to have changed or evolved more this season um, than in recent seasons. I don't know if that's because the team is so young or not, but it's they're reaching across the stomach to finish. Really interesting because it shows you how good that shin whizzer and whizzers can be as a defense, right? You can stalemate so much from there. So
Yeah.
when you can find a way around that, it's pretty cool.
And Lilladol, probably more than anyone else, really needs to be careful with that because of how strong Buzakis is in that seatbelt position where he'll come in body lock, he'll come over the top for the cement job.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah. And he's strong. He's
yes.
the strongest pound for pound guy out there right now with the weight he's
Mhm.
cutting. Well, speaking of which, Lil Dog got the tech fall over Sotelo, is that his name?
Yep,
Sotelo? And
Harvard transfer.
exactly. And he looked really good, high energy. The first thing I noticed was, you know, Michigan wasn't using the forehead post that a lot of teams, Iowa, Nebraska, were using. So, except for Lachlan McNeil, who almost punched Shane Van Ness. It was a weird angle on the Big Ten Network or on Big Ten Plus. But I mean, he came at him, and the referee didn't. I don't know if I didn't see a warning before that. It just gave Van Ness a point.
I think there was a warning earlier.
There was okay.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if the staff has said. I mean, Sanderson and Coach Sanderson has said it during the press conference. I wonder if they're telling the refs to watch eyes to the face, heavy forehead posts or not. But Michigan, other than Lachlan, didn't appear to use it. And to me, that would be one thing. Buzakis, as we're looking at Ohio State, he comes in at number two. Lillardall's number one, depending on who you're looking at. And this is a clash of, and could set the tone for the match if they start here, right? Because Ohio State, as we said, probably wants to give Buzakis as much time as possible off the scale
Oh, for sure. I mean, you've seen he hasn't done a Friday Sunday all year.
all
He's
year, right?
he's done one of them, and he's wrestled all the big matches, so he has shown up for those. But he has not done the back to backs with the weigh-ins.
And they don't have. Oh, I don't know if they have a. This is a Friday match, so there's not one that Ohio State's thinking about beforehand. Um,
And then this Friday they didn't start at 125.
right, exactly, right. On the Iowa match, right? He was
Yeah.
number seven, I think, right? They started whatever, whatever the draw was, 41 or 49. Um, Interesting thing, I looked it up. Both guys, thank you, WrestleStat. Both guys have a 67% bonus rate. Um, that's Buzakis' highest, while at Ohio State, they have their best win being Dean Peterson, I believe. Um, and to me, I think the edge here is that Buzakis is stronger in those tie-ups, and Lillardall's got a better pace and maybe more attack angle. So that seems like the path there. If you see Buzakis able to slow down Lillardall, tie him up, does he get Buzakis' cardio involved?
Yeah, and you wonder how much familiarity is from being in the high school room together for a year.
Right, right.
Now they weren't as close in weight then as they are now, obviously, but gotta wonder if they went too much.
I, you would think so, right? Because they
Yeah.
weren't competing for the spot in the lineup. So I don't know. Buzakis, like his path to victory to me is get an early takedown, ride heavy, and ride Lillardall out for the first period and put some doubt in his mind about taking a wild shot and not being able to get out. Now I don't know if that's really possible, but if that's possible, and then he kind of frustrates Lillardall with a forehead post, Lillardall takes a out of position shot, and Buzakis counters it. All of a sudden, it's a 6-1 match, and to me, you can. These guys are now they're gaming the stalling thing where they're instead of backing straight up, and I'm not saying Ohio State, I'm just talking about NCAA in general. They're circling in the center of the mat instead of backing straight out, which is kind of an interesting technique. We saw it with the Nebraska match. We saw a little bit Ohio State and Iowa. So they're circling in the center of the mat, which is technically the referees don't call that stalling because they're not backing out of the center, and that's how freestyle is: stay in the center of the mat. But if you're
Right.
still backing up, it's stalling.
Hmm.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Buzakis? His path versus Lodal?
I think like you're right as far as Buzakis is gonna want to ride, and Luke's got to be careful riding him because he's a reversal machine.
Right? He is so strong on some of those switch or lever positions. Like you'd think you can get your arm broken, right? When you're going against that kid. So
Yep.
yeah, I mean, to me, the path for Lillardall is pretty simple: is be able to handle the forehead post if it happens, or any of those tie-ups, and just, to me, Luke is
Those
pretty
sweep singles. Stay
sweep
out of the
singles.
ties, sweep singles from space.
Exactly. Level change underneath that blocking. And, you know, if he can, weather any kind of early storm from body locks or tie ups and then start just picking apart from space or from a post. I think that, that opens up the possibility that if they're wrestling hard in the third period, I just have to give, and it's a competitive match. I got to give the edge to Lilladol there.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
WrestleStat has this 9-7 Buzakis rankings for Flow and Intermat have Lilladol at one, I believe. I see this being, somewhere like a 7-4 decision. And again, if it, Buzakis is, I think he's got to be winning going into the third period for him to have a chance to win.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, because I think the pace is going to favor Lilladol for sure in
Yep.
conditioning.
Yep. That could be a barn burner of number one versus two if that's the opening match. Looking forward to that. I hope it is. 33. Blaze got a tech fall over Pennsylvania's Gage Patero in Michigan. Blaze looked really good there. Looked way more energetic than he did in the Nebraska match. I don't know. Maybe it was crisp. Maybe he just looked more crisp. Um, Freshman showdown. Number two, Davino versus number four, Blaze. Both these guys, blue chips. We talked last week how they would have both fit in the room, but they're both undefeated. Davino has a 67% bonus rate. Blaze has an 88%, and both guys like to score.
And I did find that they wrestled in the Ironman finals 3 years ago, and Davino won.
What was that? You have the
Ultimate
score?
tiebreaker.
Oh, no kidding. So it was a ride out, right?
Yeah.
And is that when is 3 years ago when it was just one guy got the pick and you had one period?
Uh, well, for high school, it's still that way.
It's still that way? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Which is just like, that sounds crazy to me, right? I mean, that even makes it less like there's just one period. At least go to the college method, right?
No, no, I think you at the sudden victory, you
Yep.
both get a top bottom, and then
Oh,
first choice, first point gets choice in the third and ultimate one,
I
top
see.
bottom.
Okay. So Davino has it at Ironman, and then Blaze has it at is it U20, I think, World Team Trials in 2024. Um,
Yeah.
is that right? So,
And he also beat him in the US Open finals last year.
okay,
I mean, that's on the backside of the US Open. It's always questionable,
right,
backside results, but
right. Who's wrestling harder at that point, after your dreams are broken? The other thing that might give Davino an edge is that Blaze was working out in that RTC up until the time he picked Penn State. So do they, does Stieber have a game plan for Davino that can expose some of Blaze's um, I don't know, weaknesses. It's hard to say that he's got weaknesses, but Stieber's a four-time NCAA champ. All right, three-time. Oliver won, but whatever. I'll get off that dead horse. Um, but does that give them any edge on picking apart what Blaze has done, or has Blaze changed so much since he's been in the Penn State room that's going to be a different wrestler?
yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, when they did wrestle that Iron Man match, there was no takedowns. It was three escapes to two.
Well, that makes a lot of sense because to me, I would expect a positional battle here, and you know, Davino maybe he's slightly less higher pace than Blaze, but I would imagine to be some forehead posting there to create space and some frustration with Blaze trying to get in there. Both guys have their chest down. Like, so when you watch guys who are trying to shoot on them, they don't, other than maybe these two guys, whenever anybody shoots on either of these guys, they end up touching the mat like underneath the chest. Like they're not getting close to the ankle or the leg because their chest is so low. So I would
Yeah, Blaze
imagine,
does or Davino doesn't break stance or Blaze doesn't break stance. I mean,
yeah,
he stays. I mean, that's your picture perfect of what you want to see somebody do as far as just he's in stance all the time.
totally. So I would imagine both these guys are like, if I'm betting, this is going into sudden victory and could be riding time, like tiebreakers, because I can't imagine either guy, like, I mean, they don't think about seeding for Big Ten. I would imagine if anybody took a risk, it would be Penn State is notoriously taking some more risks in the duels just to see what people respond to before Big Tens, before
Yeah.
NCAAs. Um, But for guys who have the two highest bonus rates of any of the two guys who are going to possibly face each other, this one could be the lowest scoring match of the
Yeah.
duel. So, um, yeah, I would not be surprised to see this be really tight and and be done in rideouts. And to me, I think Blaze is going to pull it out on a squeaker, but I wouldn't be surprised. It's not an upset if Davino beats him.
No, I mean it technically is an upset if Blaze wins, but
Yeah, that's right. You're right.
I think between him wrestling Ono and uh Luke and Desmond, I think he's probably got the better room at this point.
I agree with you. I have the edge and the, whatever of a 2-1 win for Marcus Blaze there. So I got 6-0 at this point.
Yep.
Um, 141. Boy, this is going to be an interesting thing. So we watched Nate Desmond come in and wrestle Ragusin, and Ragusin hasn't been as good as he's been in the past, but he wrestled tough. Desmond looks bigger than he did at the Black Knight, but he's not a
He
full
said he
size.
weighed in at 38.
He's not a full-sized 41 pounder. And after watching that match this morning, like he's just such an incredible mat wrestler in all positions. Like you're just never, and I don't know if people will catch up to some of his funky roll throughs, but he sets them up differently than he's not doing them from the same position that Penn State is kind of creating on their takedowns. He's doing it. I don't want to give it away, but if you look at how he initiates some of those rolls, it's harder to anticipate for him.
No, he's tough. I mean, that scramble where he got the winning takedown on Ragusin, uh, where he was able to just hook that one. He came through the arm spin out of the kind of
Yep,
little whip over that Ragusin tried to hit him on. He got his arm free, did the arm spin, and then trapped the leg, so he was able to climb up the body and keep him. That was nice.
totally. I mean, the whole match was pretty high level wrestling. Ragusin probably brought one of his best games there, and you know, I guess the highlight for me is that Desmond's not using any strength to beat these guys, right? He's
No,
right. This is where that 10 to 15% of the time where the weaker guy is winning and he's using technique and constant motion to create angles that these guys can't apply their strength to them, right? It's really remarkable wrestling. Um, I don't know. I think we've talked about it before. Like the team, in my town here, like they are the weakest team in the league, and the coaches are weak personally. But when the kids ask me at tournaments, like, "Hey, what can I do to win?" I'm like, "You have to keep moving because you're just gonna always be wrestling guys who are stronger than you." And they don't have the cardio to do it. They win for a period or two, and then they get stuck in the third period. It's a sad thing, but this is at the college level. If the guy's stronger than you, you gotta have better technique and keep moving.
right.
Did I just hear you say you have a plan at 141 for the Ohio State match?
I was looking to see how many dates Desmond has left, and it looks like he's only wrestled. I'm assuming Black Knight was unattached because Luke was attached.
Yep.
Uh, the Wyoming duel would be one. The Journeyman event would be one. Those two matches on that one day, and then and Michigan was only really his third event, so he's got dates open. And apparently Davis has a burn on his hand from a scooter fire he set in his dorm or apartment.
Now, isn't this the second time he's had a scooter incident?
Yeah, I think he wrecked one before, but this time
Last year.
he apparently
Um,
charged the battery in the house, which apparently is right
I,
on the instructions that you never do that because they blow up.
I will say that my daughter, I don't know if you remember our place in Pennsylvania, but I walked in from working one day and I opened up the garage. It's filled with smoke and fire, and my daughter's little Vespa, so it's not a scooter, it's like a little Vespa. It was on fire. If I had
Yeah,
not walked in at that very moment, the house would have burned down. And they didn't even, there was zero question when I said, "Hey, can you send us, like, can you fix this?" They didn't even ask for proof. This happens so often to these rechargeable batteries,
yeah,
right? So my daughter's got a bike that's an e-bike. I'm like, that battery has to be charged outside all the time
yeah.
now, right?
That's what everybody was saying with this thing.
That's it. Yeah, I had no idea. So your recommendation is that Coach Sanderson starts.
I don't know. I mean, I know it's a no-win situation in reality because Mendez is just that good and he's on a heater. Does it hurt? Now, Big Ten seeding, and you mentioned you were listening to something Willie did earlier. He did his Big Ten seeds the other day, and then in the next podcast, he found out they actually have a formula they're using now for the first year ever.
Interesting. I didn't, right? Because I know it was always judgment. Now that's
Mhm.
crazy that they got a formula. I wonder how that, does he didn't say what the formula was, did he?
He mentioned some of it,
Okay.
but he also said he wasn't about to try and do figure it out because it was that complicated.
Oh, man. Well, you're right. I mean, Mendez is coming on a heater here, right? I mean, he hasn't lost um, to anybody besides Bartlett and Brock in 3 years. Um, Two-time champ. He just majored Brock Hardy. I think there was a regular decision earlier in the year, and they beat him 14-3 this time. Um, and he describes himself as the toughest guy out there, and he appears to be that way until someone knocks him off that podium to me. Uh,
Yeah.
Interesting thing to me would be like if we saw Davis come out and bring it to Hardy for whatever, a period and a half or 2 periods, um, before he ended up kind of diving in on that leg. If Penn State periodized or trained through that match, does he have a bigger gas tank to try and do that to Mendez? I don't think Mendez has given up more than one takedown in his entire career, right? In college. So I wonder if they would throw out, Davis and just say, go do what you did to Hardy for as long as you can go do it.
It's possible. Yeah, it's a good question. I don't. I'm not. I think it depends on Davis's health in reality.
Yeah.
The initial assumption was this was kind of his punishment for the kick and the team point,
Yeah.
but then there was the talk of the burn on his hand and all that stuff. So I don't know. Again, it's Mendez probably by bonus either way.
Well, that would be, I mean, to me, that's a real interesting thing, right? Because everybody knows Mendez's style. He's going to come out there, and I think he's at 100% bonus rate, but don't quote me on that. I didn't look it up. Uh, oh, no, he did. He's not, because Hardy kept it to a 4-1 match earlier. So maybe he's, one regular decision that I can think of. Um, to me, the interesting matchup is if Davis is 100%, which if he's not, like, I don't know if you put him out there.
Right.
What does Desmond bring? Does he have a different feel? I mean, Mendez is so strong. Can Desmond do any of those counters and any of that movement that he's been doing to the lesser ranked guys and make it a competitive match?
I think he can, but I don't know it would be able to really stop him for 6 minutes, 7 minutes.
That's my guess too. So, I think OSU gets the major is the push, right? Like that's kind of if you were betting like any maybe a major plus. Like if you're Penn State, you're thinking a major, maybe that's not so bad. Uh,
Right.
the Tech or the fall is where Ohio State wins here,
And
and
he's not a pinner.
he's not, right? But he's just I don't know how many times Braden Davis has been pinned. Um, But that is Brock Hardy's kind of, whatever. That's his streak there. And I don't know if Desmond has ever felt anybody quite as strong. Although he's in that Penn State room, he's got to have felt people were strong, right? PJ Duke is really
Right.
strong. So anyway, I'm going to go major plus here for Ohio State.
Yeah, I definitely think I'm thinking major. Somebody can slow him down a little bit, but I think that's about it.
So did you message Kale and give him who you thought should start?
No, I did reach out to somebody that might have some insight on Luke and Bazakis, but didn't get a response yet.
Okay. All right. Um, let's see, 49, Shane Van Ness versus Lachlan McNeil. uh, Canada's very own Sem kid, right?
For a couple years,
Couple
yes.
years, right? So he was using the post, gave up the penalty point we already talked about. Um, but Shane Van Ness, right? This Lachlan McNeil's at least a two-time All-American.
Yes.
And, Shane Van Ness rode him out in that third period. I mean, he just dominated and got with the riding time, rode him out, no escape, and got the major. Like he's just motivated. The most dominant thing amongst that team between, you know, Mitchell, Levi, Josh, um, who else? Uh,
Bar,
it-
Rocco.
yeah, I mean, they got to be feeding off each other. So Shane Van Ness has had, he's the guy that if he was wrestling, maybe the toughest guy in the country, kind of like whether it's Davino or um, Buzakis, where you could see, hey, this guy is, he does get out of position, right? We've seen him get taken down first twice. We've seen him almost pinned a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago, right? Like, but I don't think Ethan Styles has that. He's a transfer, right, from Ohio State or Oregon State, having a really good season. I
Van Ness pinned him last year in a minute.
was that NCAAs?
Uh,
Or was that
March
the
20th, I would think
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, I mean, Van Ness, this is where Penn State, especially if Cannon is out, where they could start racking up some bonus points here. So, right, the pin, even if it's not a pin, I think that Styles is not going to be used to wrestling that pace. Even if he realizes all the different angles Van Ness is coming at him from, right? He's not going to be able
And
to keep.
Styles was out for a while. I mean, he has two matches since in the last month.
Okay. He wrestled the Iowa match though, right?
He beat Lamer, sudden victory. He beat Block, sudden victory. And before that was January 11th.
Yeah. So you got to think there's a strong edge there for Penn State. Van Ness
Yep.
is, I'm assuming he's coming in at the strong number one seed here for Big Tens. And he just looks, I don't know if it's more disciplined because he's not, I don't think it's disciplined. He's leaving it wide open, but I don't think he's putting his knees in as bad a shape as he's done in the past, or maybe even his shoulders. And I think he's just sort of protecting himself. He's staying a little more within himself there. So, I got Van Ness, and I guess the major would be what
I
you'd
think it's
expect.
in play for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
His little snatch single or that he turns into a double or
yep.
even a snatch like where he doesn't hit a knee. There's like no defense and there's like no risk.
We've talked about it before that snatch single. Like the Japanese made that thing really popular when I think they either won worlds or took second. And I think it was the late to mid 70s, not 100% positive. Um, it's such an effective thing when someone's slightly tall in their stance, especially the heavier you get. Like I was going to talk about it at heavyweight, but when you get underneath there, heavyweights struggle to finish one on the mat. When they're on the mat on that takedown, you get 250 pounds on top of you. You can
Yeah.
complain all you want. That's a lot of weight and muscle. But the snatch single, the Japanese kind of perfected it, and it didn't catch on because the American version of it was run the pipe
Hmm.
is more easily counterable than the Japanese level change. And I learned it as right? The Penn State coach, who was the Japanese guy under Lorenzo, taught it to me when I was in high school. And he just called it a Jap down, but apparently that's now a slur. But that's what the Japanese guy told me it was from the Penn State coaching staff,
Yeah.
and I'm sticking with it. But if I ever teach it, I just call it a level change at this point. And so there's like five finishes from there. And Van Ness's, he does a little hip thing and then dives double, and no one sees it coming. It's pretty remarkable.
A lot of kids aren't willing to lead with their face. And
Yeah,
he's just put it in your stomach. It's not like he's going head to head or forehead to forehead. He just puts his face right in your stomach or your sternum and just
boom.
one or two hands behind the hamstrings and just drives.
Yeah, fantastic takedown. And it's it once you have that leg in the air, it's very hard to counter that. Like you can't throw a wizard. The only thing you really do that kids aren't doing is trying to do an elevator, like where they're taking him over for a full mixer. You know,
Right.
and
Because he's normally his arms aren't or they don't have an arm.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, you have to really get that kind of overhook in on that single leg to try and elevate and kick. He also finishes with his hips really low. I don't know if it was it Ty Waters last year that came close to doing it, or was it 2 years ago in the All-Star match when he was hurt? Maybe it was last year. Not important. All right, let's move on before people start tuning into other things. 157, PJ Duke versus um, what was his Catabone? Cat
Brandon Cannon.
no, but the Michigan match, right? The
Oh,
guy from New York,
yeah, Catcherbone.
Catrabone. So I mean,
I gotta. They're both New York kids. I have to look to see if they wrestled in high school.
while you're looking it up, that was Duke's first takedown given up this season. Then his shoulder hurt. As soon as he comes back from that, right, this kid's got grit. I mean, he just goes after it. Every time Catcher Bone scores on him, he just comes back and answers. I mean, he is so there was no hangover from the Antrell loss. Um, and it looks like he's working something that it might not be ready for prime time, but like 2 of the last 3 weeks, he's been working on this misdirection. It hasn't quite clicked yet, but it's kind of an interesting thing to see these guys trying new stuff out there.
Yeah, I mean he was it his shoulder? What did he tweak and take injury time for?
Looked like his shoulder, and to me, it looked like it got pulled down, not back. So I
And then
uh,
anytime he got like that whizzer seatbelt position, he just bailed.
bailed. So I don't know if it happened during the match. To me, it didn't look like there was that much pressure going down. They were in a scramble. It's something he's been dealing with maybe before the match, from practice or from last week. But it's one of those things where he's not wrapping it either. He doesn't want anybody knowing it's there. They didn't wrap it during the match. Makes you
Right,
wonder how serious it is. Monthly, maybe the best trainer out there. Imagine, I mean, Taylor had that high ankle sprain that like the last practice before NCAAs, I think it's senior season. I don't think anybody knew about it until afterwards.
right.
Catcher Bone gets that third period takedown, and Duke comes right back with his own within seconds, and he's got a lot in his tank. So, when he if we see Cannon, like one, that's gonna I can't wait to see that match wherever it happens, right? Like that's gonna
Yeah.
be some serious wrestling. And I wouldn't put Cannon out there if he's 90% because I don't think the duel is gonna be as close enough that's gonna count on that match for Ohio State. But it's one of those things where
It could
um,
be a Joe Seeley match.
it could be a Joe Seeley if it's Landon DeSalle, and not
No,
Cannon.
I think I think they've bumped Shaw up in the past.
They did. All right, so maybe I'm wrong. I think, right, they did a couple times. I heard this kid is wrestling hard in the room. I don't know. Whoever it is, it would be interesting to put Sealy in there. On the other hand, does Penn State want to just make a border war statement? And 'cause Sealy has a date to give, right? He's got a couple dates.
Well, he's not a redshirt anymore, I don't
Oh,
think.
crap. You're right. What am I talking about? He can just go.
Yeah.
So
So I think if Duke is anything less than 100, I wouldn't be surprised. Does Penn State do probables like Tuesday, Wednesday?
they do, but I don't think they ever rule anybody out. It always looks like they just have multiple people listed.
Yeah, but I don't think they list multiples a lot.
I'm trying to think. The last time they had two people in a weight class was with Josh Barr, right? They didn't show Barr as being the starter. They had Barr and Rock, not Rocco, Mirasola,
Yeah.
Carter. Um, I don't know. So whoever it is, you got to give Penn. I mean, I'm giving Penn State, whether it's Sealy or Duke. Like you gotta be. It's a strong favorite here, and I don't think Sealy would have. He's not quite as good, maybe from the top position. Duke. I mean, Duke is not super strong on top, but he's shown an ability to ride people that I don't think Sealy has. But Sealy's takedown game is. I mean, if it was just a takedown situation, he's top five in the country, maybe top seven in the country.
Oh, absolutely. He's tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see it. But if there is anything wrong with Duke, I would not be surprised to see Sealy.
So this is one that could kind of be, two backups, one backup, who knows, two starters. But my guess is that Cannon will be out. And if he's out, do you get Duke's shoulder arrest per, monthly? Um, 65. The only takeaway from, Messenbrink's tech, yesterday in the match at Michigan is did the forehead wrap make him look any more, less nerdy, Jamie? Seriously? I love that
Well,
look.
that looked like that might have been a deep cut by the
Cut.
amount of blood.
It was right. I would imagine that thing's got stitches, is just my guess, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Um, Still gets a tech fall, finishes up with a takedown. 65, Messenbrink will either wrestle Gallagher or Ethan Burden, I mean. Um, Burden just wrestled an Iowa match and lost to Caliendo. Um, you
Only 8-2.
8-2, right? And Caliendo's second best guy in the country. Um, to me, Burden has got the length between his sole of his foot and his knee is awfully high. Like he's got a really long bottom of the leg. And boy, that just looks like it's dying for Messenbrink to low single him because he doesn't look like he has a ton of ankle flexibility to defend those low shots.
He's long for sure.
Right? So it we can talk about it. It looks like a dolly. His legs are long, and then from his foot to his knee, it looks like it's 4 inches taller than almost everybody else. But to me, this Messenbrink is 100% bonus rate coming in here, and you got to think I'm sure he's not looking at Jesse Mendez's bonus rate, but he's got 100% and Mendez is one down. So, does the Penn State vote get split up by a couple of his teammates or not? But you got to figure he's going to be out there to not just bonus somebody, but make a statement here.
Oh, for sure. I mean, he's always looking to score as many points as possible. Patty wrestled last week, but did not wrestle in the Iowa match.
Yep. So,
Yeah, I think it's bonus. It's likely a tech either way.
yeah. So my understanding is that the weight class isn't settled, right? Burden has gotten a lot of time this year. And whether that's true or not, that's just what I've heard is that the weight class is true. They're just waiting for one of them to create separation, and they're not.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's kind of late in the year, and like you kind of want to get some of those Big Ten matches in.
Yeah. All right, going up to 74 versus Michigan. Bo Mantanona came to wrestle. Um, Great opening sequence. And Levi, we always talk about his takedown and finishes, but his mat wrestling is clearly underrated. He out scrambled Mantanona, who's kind of known for his funky long arms that allow him to scramble through a bunch of positions. Maybe not as good as his brother Brock, who's higher rated, but he's a really good scrambler. And Levi was just boom. He had way more energy, which makes me think either he was sick or they trained through Nebraska because, he kept pushing and, you know, yeah. What did he got the tech at the buzzer, right? Like at the buzzer, he finished that match.
Yes, yeah. But that one scramble was very, very elite as far as the way he came out of that.
And we don't like again, we don't see Haynes in those kind of scrambles. Like it just popped
No.
out. And we watch him do all that stuff from freestyle silver medalist. And the most obvious thing you can see is that his tie-ups and his hand position is slightly different. He's pulling on top of the head a little more than the base of the neck. His other hand is the forearm blocks a little bit while he's getting that to go to work. It's an interesting, like if you look at it, tie-ups, his setup from the tie is better than it's ever been. Um, Looking forward at the Karchula match, he comes in at 5. It's always been a one takedown match between these two guys. Karchula dropped the match to Kennedy yes, not was it yesterday? Yesterday. Yeah.
Friday.
Yes, yep. So he dropped that match to Kennedy 2-1. Haynes bonused him. So
Right.
do we see separation this year like we haven't seen? Because was it 2 years ago? It came down to a takedown in the bottom of the end of the third period, and I think Karchler was winning. You know,
It's
yeah.
possible, yeah.
So, is this a bad matchup for Levi because of the size? Does he feel wrestle a little more free? I'm guessing we're going to see that Levi is going to try and get that takedown in the first period and then start dominating him.
Oh, he always does. I mean, they always are looking to score, but I think with Karchla, I mean, I don't think he's afraid to put him in deep water and test the conditioning.
Yep. All right, 84, Rocco over Brock Mantanona 8-1. And just when we were talking about how good he looks from neutral, he puts a 2 minute ride on Brock Mantanona, which to me, I don't think anybody's ridden Mantanona that long in college. I know those guys a little bit, the Mantanona brothers, like they pride themselves on their mat wrestling. You'd think they were from Pennsylvania, but they're not, right? They're California kids, right?
Right.
And they're just mat guys. And Rocco has just tested out all these new skills. He didn't get to a bonus point thing, but I was just really impressed with that mat wrestling.
He was close. I mean, he 8-1, but
Eight
yeah,
one.
he had like 3-4 minutes of riding time.
So then looking up at Fishback here, Fishback comes in at number 8. Fishback got the sudden victory win over Arnold in the Iowa match. Walsh comes in at number 1. You know, I'll mention it, the footwork and balance. I've already talked about it, but like I've rewatched the Nebraska match a few times when he was bonusing Silas Allred. And I went back and I watched the distance he was able to keep versus Ferrari in the Iowa match, and it's really remarkable. Because he's not the strongest guy upper body, but his feet are always keeping him in balance. I gotta think, even though he didn't get the bonus over Mantanona, that he's going to be pushing the pace here. And now that he knows he's whatever he's been working on in practice for riding, he didn't threaten a lot of back points, but they were initiated motions to create back angle, right? This is one of the things I don't know if Fishback is going to be ready to wrestle a hard 7 minutes like that.
No, and Rocco's looked better than ever, and I think he's gonna want to show out against his old team for sure. I think it's gonna be bonus.
I wonder what that handshake line after the match is like. If he
Yeah,
loses, I'm sure Tom Ryan will be whatever, magnanimous. But I can imagine if Rocco wins and things are starting to pull away here at Penn State, or if they were pulled away because they drew and they started in the second half of the match, and at this point it's a 12 point or 13 point margin of victory because they started at 49. Like this is one of those things that I hope the Big Ten Network films the handshake line because that's
yes,
and apparently, Rocco's a very nice young man, but he took it real personal that no one on that staff talked to him for 8 months.
yeah, yeah. I don't think he's got any love lost with Tom Ryan.
Yeah. And I, I don't want to say, yeah, so someone from that is a donor on that team said the entire staff was more embarrassed about losing him than any other single thing that's happened to them, whether that is Blaze or Snyder. Um, There was another one that he mentioned. So just kind of interesting. They took it as a personal embarrassment because Rocco was talking about it publicly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. I'm giving the strong edge there. I don't think he's going to get major, but I think he'll try.
Oh, he's pushing for
Yeah.
bonus for sure. I think he gets it.
Barr, versus Michigan. I mean, he just first period takedown, right, ride out was threatening back. Um, Hands and feet never stop moving. We talked about it in the past. He wrestles like Jason Nolf at 197. He wrestles like Zane or David Taylor, any of these guys who are just nonstop. But if you watch him, his hands and feet just constantly moving.
Yeah, no, he's unreal right now, and he's starting to really separate with the rest of the weight class.
Another factor, Nebraska, he kind of gave up for the tech. No, yeah, the tech uh, versus Camden McDaniel. He was just gassed. Here, he got the tech at the end of the third period with the riding time. Like he pushed hard the entire time. Just another guy who was either sick, coincidentally, or it looked like they trained through that Nebraska match.
Yep, I agree.
All right. So versus Geog, I don't know if Geog can keep up with this guy. He's like just a man possessed with this high energy. He's like the love of it's like what's John Lee Hooker, one of I listen to blues music. He's got a song, mom's talking to dad in the bed and they're just talking about their son and the dad goes, "The boy's got the boogie in him. Let that boy boogie woogie." I mean, Josh Barr has got the energy in him. Like you just got to let this guy wrestle hard all the time. It's just so. I mean, not that you could stop him, but it's really fun to watch.
Yo, he's must watch every time. Just doesn't stop, like you said, the pace and just He doesn't get out of position. He's awesome.
Well, he's trying to do something. He's doing this throw by where his entire body is now on the inside and underneath, but he has the inside leg. So the guy thinks he's going to cut the corner on him. He did it twice in the Michigan match. He did it in the McDaniel match and he missed it, and McDaniel took him down. But he looks like he's out of position, but he picks the ankle up and he uses his whole upper body as leverage to sit the guy on his back and then threaten back points. It's a really interesting technique. I'm going to break it down again, watch that match again between now and Ohio State. But it looks odd, but it seems to be working because no one's expecting him to get in so deep. It's pretty remarkable. Oh.
Yeah, they're just making up new shit every day.
That's what it looks like, right? He's just like, I people will let me get in deep here. Plus, I think he'll be able to go left and get low under Geog. Geog does not have good defense to the ankle, to low singles, and I think that if Barr can't get that, he's going to be going left and low to Geog's right ankle.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bonus again, pushing for
Yep.
tech.
285. You're talking about the Michigan match. Gadali talked about with those low legs. Um, You'd think it would be way easier for people to take him down. And Marisola Cole got in deep and it was on his feet, but couldn't finish. He was in so deep, just doesn't have the upper body strength to finish there. Like at a heavyweight, all you need to do is start running. It's who's the Zach Ray finish. He would get in there and he didn't really have a finish. He would just knock you over. Now, granted, Marisola is not nearly as big as Zach Ray, and Zach didn't have many other finishes, but this was one of those things where that was his big, his path to victory. Um, Gadali then rode Marisola, pretty good in the second period. He gets out. Marisola attacks for a takedown. Wasn't super deep like the first one, but then looked like he gave up position. Gadali gets in there when Marisola got a little tall, and then he didn't offer a counter. It looked like he could have had a couple counters because Gadali, one, paused, and two, was not in that deep. He was down at the knee almost. It looked like to me. I'd have to rewatch it. So
He
Marisola's got,
gets nervous about the guy's weight and size coming into him, and he kind of
yeah,
froze and just bailed.
he's improved during the season. Cardio doesn't seem to be the thing. It's strength. That's just hard to finish on big guys. You're not going to build
And
strength during the
size.
season.
Yeah.
So Feldman, he's not a big guy, but his thighs are super big. I wonder if and he is a pretty low wrestler, right? Like he gets low. I mean, Ferrari split his face on Feldman's face trying to get underneath him.
Right.
In the first meetup, and then he complained about it. He shot face first into
Right.
Feldman's forehead and was complaining about it. Right? Feldmonster was like, "Why would he complain about it afterwards? Like he's the one who took the shot." Uh, this is one of those things where Feldman, right? He looked like he was having a good season. He beats Ferrari twice. Then he drops the match. He couldn't finish on Gadali, kind of like Mirasola. He was on his knees, tried to pull that ankle between the legs and get the leverage there. Couldn't, wasn't strong enough. Gadali's got to have really strong hips. Um, is this more built for Mirasola to steal one with cardio? I don't know.
I think it helps him with the size not being closer, but Nick has been Nick's best wins are against the smaller heavyweights.
Exactly.
He has similar struggles. I won't say the same, but he's got similar struggles with the big guys.
Yeah. Um, any other thoughts about heavyweight?
No, it's probably one of the two we would lose. We're certainly not favored in two big ones.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, if you're looking at the split, you'd think that it's a 7-3, 8-2 split, depending who's wrestling. So it's hard to project. And if it's 7-3, you know, I don't know what the path to victory is. Ohio State would likely have to have Cannon in there. Gallagher would have to revert, or I'm sorry, not Gallagher. Karchler would have to reverse a Levi decision, which I don't see any of that. And the Penn State upper weights that we talked about would have to be reduced to non-bonus point wins.
Yeah, I think it's going to be somewhat lopsided, like you said, 7-3, 8-2.
Do you have a final score, Jamie? I don't have one after all of that. I just closed my document, didn't save it, and I didn't remember what the score I had was. What an
It's
idiot.
not going to be as close as WrestleStat thinks.
What did see? What does WrestleStat have? Oh, 16-15.
Yeah.
If it's that kind of duel, this should like we will see what kind of fan base Ohio State has. Iowa, regardless of the situation, has been the most viewed team on national television, whether it's Big Ten or ESPN, every year. Now, coincidentally, it's usually the Penn State duel, but last year it was the Ohio or Oklahoma State duel. We'll see how many Ohio State fans are tuning in to see if this duel, which is really going to decide who the best duel team is and a lot of seeding. If there's any upsets, this could determine a lot of seeding for Big Tens. If this thing is the highest rated Big Ten wrestling match of the year.
It's got a chance. I mean, it's 1 and 2 in the country. It's going to be compared relative to Penn State, Iowa the last several years.
Yep. So, other than that, this kind of it. They have Princeton, which, they should. I would imagine if anybody who's on the bench that's been working hard would probably see a couple of those guys get matches versus Princeton. I think Princeton has a couple guys. They just had someone have a upset win. Did someone just beat Whalen? And they've got Elijah Rivera, I think, who's in the top 20. But
McGowan's going to be a good match for Lilidol.
That so you could see maybe two, three good matches there, but I would imagine the rest of it you might see some guys if they're dinged up, get some time off. That's February 20th, so that's the week after Ohio State. And then they've got 2 weeks. March 7th is Big Tens, and um, I guess maybe we'll do a wrap of Ohio State and then maybe do a separate Big Ten preview.
Somebody said it, and I don't know if it was on the broadcast, but Penn State doesn't leave State College until Nationals,
Right?
March
Because they're
19th.
hosting Big Tens. Pretty interesting. Where are NCAAs this year, Jimmy? I'm forgetting.
Cleveland.
Cleveland. So I'm guessing they take a bus ride over there.
Yeah.
Um, Trying to think here who that's it, right? That is it. So, all right, Jamie, anything before we wrap it up?
No, I think it'll be good. I'm hoping I'm going to be done with my tournament Friday night in time to catch it at the hotel.
Well, you're running it. Can't you, run those sessions faster and faster?
Everyone claims we can do it in 1 day, but if the numbers keep creeping up like they are, then it's
Makes it hard.
going to be harder.
Yeah. It was funny. I'm used to tournaments going really slow. And I was at the Friday, Saturday tournament with my son, and I'm part of this rucking challenge. So in between every round of wrestling, I would go out to the track and I'd walk as fast as I could. I got like between a half a mile and three-quarters of a mile in between each round. And this was probably the best run tournament I've been to out here. Uh, and I almost missed him wrestling on one of the three-quarter mile rucks. It was just kind of funny because I was like, these guys, they're notoriously bad, running. And maybe it's the end of the season. I don't know what it was that made it get better, but it was kind of you know, John would have been pissed had I missed this match.
Well, one of them only lasted like 10 seconds. So
You talk about John's,
yeah,
dude. There was a try match at home last Wednesday, and he had a forfeit. Then the other two teams wrestled, and then our team and the opponent wrestle. He's wrestling 190, 10 seconds. I sat there for 4 hours for
yeah,
10 seconds. I was like, my buddy Greg, who wrestled in the army, he was like, "Are you doing this every weekend?" I'm like, "It's not that bad. He usually gets more matches in, but
right.
oh boy. All right, Jamie, good times. I'm not sure how to leave this meeting. Do I just hit leave and stop recording?
Just stop recording
Oh, I
first.
see. I have to maximize it. All right, everybody. Thanks for listening. We'll do better next time.